This video is about a retro Apple computer PC built with the PowerMac G2 Beige. Both versions, desktop and mini tower, have the same performances and the same specs. These computers had various I/O ports, for example for the proprietary Apple printers and the ADB Connector Apple keyboard and mouse. The speed could be from 233, 266, 300 or 333 MHz PowerPC 750 G3 CPU from Motorola using a 66.83 MHz system bus and PC 66 SD-RAM with a standard ATA parallel ATA high disk IDE drive instead of SCSI drive used in the previous Apple systems. The mini tower was a little bit bigger than the standard G3 beige desktop model and could have two hard disks in RAID configuration because it had more space. As you can see in this pretty detailed image, by changing the jumpers, you could overclock the machine up to a very good level, like 400 MHz for example. But if you wanted the ultimate power, you needed to look in the second-hand market for Apple PowerPC G4 upgrade cards that were available for this machine. In this way, with G4 card, you will even be able to upgrade to macOS X Leopard. Keeping the retro theme, the best mouse was the Apple Desktop Bus Mouse 2 using the ADB connector. It was the model before the very famous hockey puck mouse introduced with the iMac G3. There were different keyboards available in these years, for example Apple Keyboard 2, Apple Standard Keyboard, but I choose the one that I believe is the most beautiful one, Apple Adjustable Ergonomic Keyboard, that was in white no design language that became light yellow because of the age of the plastic. Yes, the color is a bit different than the base machine PowerMac G3 beige, but it's a nice product from the 90s before Steve Jobs returned to Apple. These machines supported a maximum of 768 MB of memory. The operating system from the factory was macOS 8 or macOS 8.1. They could be upgraded to macOS 9, 9.1, 9.2, and also the early macOS 10 version like 10.0, 10.1, and 10.2. It was also possible to upgrade to macOS X Tiger with a G4 processor upgrade, but if you want to run Tiger, then get a G4 machine like I did. I bought G4, also good price, and the G3 machines, I believe they are better for very early macOS 10 version or macOS 9, macOS 8, classic macOS. These Apple 90s desk speakers were initially available together with Apple Power CD player, but because they are from the 90s and with a similar design language, I thought that they were a good fit for this retro system configuration in stereo mode. If you didn't like the Apple desktop speaker, you could opt to a age-appropriate monitor with integrated speakers. I selected the Apple Audiovision display 14 inches 640 by 480 resolution. Of course, on such a low resolution, it is suggested to only use macOS 8 and macOS 9 that are well supported on these older monitors design. While if you want a bit higher resolution while keeping the CRT, then I suggest you the earlier version of Apple Studio Display in 17 and 21 inches sizes. The top resolution will be 1600 by 1200, a very common resolution aspect ratio for 4x3 monitors. And you also need to know that it is better to get a version of the machine with the most powerful graphics card available to drive the high resolution in macOS 9.2 or macOS 10.0, 10.1, 10.2 in a better way without screening issues and performance problems. Like I said 2 seconds ago about the high resolution monitor, the graphics card for these computers were only by the same manufacturer, ATI, with the ADB connector. The base version was the ATI 3D Rage 2 Plus. Then in the middle level the ATI 3D Rage 4, while the top was the ATI 3D Rage 4 Turbo. All of these had from 2 up to 8 megabytes of video memory. But if you really wanted that monitor with 1600 by 1200 resolution, 21 inches, then I suggested to swap in the even more powerful one for these systems officially supported, that was the ATA Rage 128GL with up to 16 megabytes of video RAM.